Hello everyone, welcome to our next snippet. I hope this video finds you well. So our last snippet was snippet 51. So I'm going to do a snippet to combine with that for my opposite page. And I loved how that turned out. So I'm going to do another one to go on the opposite page. So if you watch snippet 51, you can see that we did this background, and I've repeated the background that we did in 51. Let's just bring that in. So I've repeated that background and I'm going to colour in exactly the same way as I did in snippet 51. So I'm going to use some colours. So I'm going to use Twisted Citron and do direct to paper. Now I've already melted the embossing powder because you don't need to watch me doing the embossing powder. So I've just melted the embossing powder and I've used it's ASA Officer stamp set. So I'm just going to add some colours. So I've added Twisted Citron, Mowed Lawn and Peacock Feathers. Now each of the snippets are 4 inches by 6 inches pieces of card. Let me just make sure. Do you know, isn't it funny how I make sure afterwards? I don't know what made me think that I hadn't cut it 4 by 6, but I have. So I always cut my snippets 4 inches by 6 inches, and it's Pink Frog smooth card, and I'm using direct to paper with my ink pads. So Mowed Lawn, Twisted Citron and Peacock Feathers. And what you need to do is don't be too precise with your colours. You need to make sure that you're quite random with those colours. I can add that colour over the top. Right, now you've got ink left here on your non-stick craft sheet. You can mop that up on another piece of card. So you can either use a very slightly damp baby wipe, or I'm going to use a piece of kitchen roll. I'm just going to take my piece of kitchen roll, just add a little bit of water, and then I'm just going to wipe over the card just to take off the colour from the embossed areas. And you can see how much colour you remove because you're doing that direct to paper. And then use a piece of clean and give it a little bit of a polish, which is the most polishing I will do today. There we go. So just give that a little polish and you get a wonderful background. And what you can do is if there's a certain colour you really like, you can add a little bit more of that colour just here and there, just to add a little bit more if you like the bluey colour, and then you can just polish the ink just off the embossed area. Okie dokie. So what I've got then is I've got my hellebore stamp, which is 1063, one of my new releases. And what I've done is I've cut the hellebore and I've just cut part of it. I've not cut the whole thing. I've just cut part of that. And funnily enough, last week I actually bought myself a hellebore. I purchased a green one and quite pleased I actually got a yellow one, a yellow hellebore. And I'm really pleased. So I'm hoping it grows nicely. I've just planted it. And we get some yellow hellebores, which would be rather nice. So I'm then going to use my Inktense pencils. I'm going to use Mint Leaf 1240 and Sea Breeze 1225. And I'm just going to scribble some of that colour just on here. You could use your Distress Oxide inks if you wish. Just put some of that darker colour just down here. And you can see I'm holding those Inktense pencils quite high up The idea behind that is that you don't put too much pressure on your card. I'm going to dip my brush in water and take off the excess, and then go in and just blend the colour out. Now you can use a little bit of the Distress Oxide as well if you want to bring a little bit of that colour in. It's entirely up to you. So I'm going to bring in a little bit more of that mint leaf, and I'm just taking slightly moist brush just to add some of that mint green to there. Now you would take a little bit more time colouring than I'm doing. And then if I wanted to add a little bit of the colour from the background, I'll take a little bit of that Twisted Citron. Let's pick up a little bit of the Twisted Citron and just add a little bit of that colour just from the background. I love Inktense pencils because they're just, they're so easy to use and they work rather nicely. But I'm going to leave the leaves white, but I just love that touch of green on there to echo the colour in my background, which is wonderful. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take one of my clocks from TikTok, from my ephemera pieces, #26, and let's just grab a couple of the big ones out. There we go. And it's up to you which one you decide to use. You see, that one gives a nice pop of black just against the background, or you can have, let's find 12 o'clock, which Tracy can't find 12 o'clock, or you can have the really white one. Now that's entirely up to you. I like this sort of bold black just to give a bold pop just against that floral, which works rather nicely. So I'm going to add that clock. Now we don't add too much dimension to here because we don't want it too bulky. Not that my book isn't already bulky. And I'm just going to add a little bit of Inktense pencil just around the edges. This is Inktense and it's a grey one, China ink. So I'm just going to now obviously where it's embossed, it's going to wipe off. So it'll just give a little bit of shading just to that clock. And I can just dab with my kitchen roll just to give that a bit of shading. I'm then going to add some adhesive to my floral, just so it works on there rather nicely. It works really nicely just against that clock. And obviously you don't want too much dimension on there. And then on my hellebore stamp, we've got the word hellebore there, which is perfect. So I've got my little hellebore, which I'm going to adhere. Just add that here, like so. Just allow that to take hold before you try and do anything else. I've got my number 52 for Snippet 52, which is from stamp set Garden Mix Tagged, stamp set 899, and it's a lovely one. I love the little tags as well. I just need a few more hours in the day so I can use every single stamp, but I will throughout the snippets. So that's got my 52 and it's got the hellebore on there. And then I want my little scarecrow stamp for the little bird. I like this sort of elongated bird. Let's grab another A7 acrylic block. Look at that, covered in ink. So just ink with my black Nocturne ink. Now the snippets, the idea is they are snippets of ideas that you can take further. You don't have to keep them as I keep them. They're just snippets of ideas to spark interest, and also so you use your stamps. Even if you've only got 15-20 minutes of creative time in your day, just, you know, it's your you time, and it's time for you to sort of reconnect with your stamps and just have a little bit of creative time. And that's the idea behind the snippets. And also, if you put them in a journal like me, it's lovely to look back. I really like looking back. They bring me so much joy. So let's just add a little bit of adhesive for my little birdie. We'll just put him there on the leaf as well. Now, before you do anything with your gel pens, you really should allow things to dry. It really is important that you sort of allow the ink to dry. So let's just put some touches of white. The touches of white really do bring something to your design. It really sort of brings something to that design. So let's add some splatters. Let's move that 52 out the way. Just make sure you give that pen a really good shake. Now, if your pen isn't splattering, then you may need to sort of pump that onto your non-stick craft sheet like so, just to get that going again. And can you see, the minute you pump that pen, you get definitely a lot more splatters that happen a lot easier if you just sort of pump that pen. And can you see, doesn't it look lovely how the colours in here echo the colours just around my background? They work really nicely. Then I can add my number 52, just a little bit of adhesive there, and then I'm just going to place that just there like so. Make sure there's no adhesive, and just allow that just to soak into there. You've still got time. If you haven't got it quite in the right place, you can maneuver that quite easily until that adhesive grabs hold. So I love the snippets because they really allow you to do simple ideas with your card. Now, just so you can see, this is the stamp set that I used in the background. It's Acer Officer 1007, and this is becoming a firm favourite at the moment, mainly because it's a beautiful backdrop for so many other images. So let's just grab the book, she said. What a joke, I can't grab. Now, I'm not going to stick this in because I need to take a photograph, but can you see, the minute it goes against that black, it really does pop. So there is snippet 52. Can you believe it? But it is so lovely just to look back on the snippets and just appreciate how far we've come on our journey. So it is lovely to look back. So I'll just bring that snippet up there just so that you can see that. And just adding that little bit of green really adds a lot. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and I hope you'll give it a try. Love to all, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.